People, I am on my way down to Cincinnati Saturday morning cars and coffee. I see a Corvette behind me, Stingray, looking good. Anyway, I just want to go down there, hang out for a few minutes, couple automobile enthusiasts, little break from the mundane things of tinkering every day. Then I'm going to get back to Byron's V70R. I'm going to scan the codes, try to clear the codes, figure out why he's got ABS warning, and replace that door, then be done with that car for a little while. I may take it, try to get that exhaust hanger fixed if that exhaust shop is open today. Other than that, I got a message from one of my viewers there in Albuquerque. He has one of those, I guess, C30s. He actually has two of them. And he purchased one of the low-level coolant sensors from Swedish car parts. And he had a problem with it. He saw he was losing coolant. He investigated it a little bit and actually unscrewed the sensor from his coolant reservoir and found that some parts of the sensor contraption had melted, and he thought that was what was causing his coolant loss. So he contacted Swedish car parts, and I was actually up there recently, talked to Alex about it. He said that he thought one of the sensors, something got mixed in with the chemicals. Some of those things are evidently 3D printed, and some material got in there that couldn't take the temperature of the coolant. So he thought that was a one-up situation. So he sent the guy a replacement, and the guy said that he's having similar issues with the replacement. So I said all that to say this. If you have one of those low coolant level sensors from Swedish car parts, when your car is cold, unscrew the cap, look at it, make sure that it's not melting. The guy at Swedish car parts thought that it was an isolated incident, but he got another one. The other one started melting too. So if you have one of those that's melting, if it were me, I would discontinue use of it. Contact Swedish car parts, let them know that you got an issue with it. Put your coolant reservoir cap, your standard cap, back on until all this is resolved. Get a replacement one, get a refund, whatever you got to do to make sure that you are protecting your engine. We don't want you to lose coolant, or I wouldn't want you to lose coolant and blow your engine trying to use something that's supposed to warn you of a low level. So there you have it. Here's a picture of it, the guys that was melted. So take a look at that, make sure yours is good. If it's good, keep on trucking. So I'm gonna replace this rear end and Panther hopefully today and have a little bit wider stance. Now right now I'm running P2 wheels on my car, these replica pegs that come from IPD. Now I believe that the original wheels on the 850Rs are 17 by 6.5, 6.5 inches wide. Well, these wheels are 7 inches wide, and on occasions, depending on how you go in and out of driveways and stuff, they rub the nuts inside of the fender well, the wheel arch area. So if you put this C70 rear end in there, that should scoot those wheels out a little bit if you're running wheels without the proper offset, and help you clear those. At that point you won't need spacers, but really I should probably have 1/4" spacers in my wheels with longer lug nuts, but I don't, so I have rubbing issues. Doesn't rub that often, just a little bit. Now if I was trying to run wider tires like 225s or 235s, I'd really have an issue with it. But I only run 215, so I have an occasional issue. But when I switch to this C70 rear end, I could probably run 225 no problem with these wheels that I have from the S60s P2 cars. So that's what's going on there. May give me a little bit better handling, may not. You know, your handling's all about tires and of course the width of your rear end and how low the car is. When the car is up in the air, it doesn't handle as good as if it's lower. That's why a lot of people lower their cars, not only for looks. So let's get down here to this Cars and Coffee, hang out for a few minutes and get out of here. Get back to work. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. I'm here at this XC90. It's a V8 model. I think it's a 07. The air conditioning is kind of iffy, not really working as well as they'd like. So I'm going to check the pressure. And I do have a can I can service it with if I need to. I got this valve here that came on one of those tall bottles. Now what you're supposed to do is dial in the temperature down here at the bottom. 80, 90 at the dot. So that dot would be 80. So if it's 80 degrees out here, I dial it in there and the pressure should fall between the two red lines. If it's above the area here, it's got too much in it. If it's below, doesn't quite have enough. So we're gonna connect the hose, fire up the car, turn on the AC and see where we're at. I'm gonna check the temperature and make sure we're at 80 degrees here. Anytime the car is off and not running, it's going to have a high pressure. So you really want to read the gauge when the car is on and the AC compressor is engaged. That's when you get your proper reading. Let me go start the car, turn the AC on. I got the AC on face vent, turned all the way cold both sides, on recycle, fan all the way up. Barely cool, man. It's really not cool. Just barely, but let's go see where the pressure is. Pressure's high. I'm assuming the compressor is not on. So let me see if I can find the compressor and see if it's on. It looks like the compressor is on and this pressure is really high. I kind of wonder if the system is over serviced. Now recently they've had some changes with the bottles. These bottles are self-sealing now. They didn't used to be. Used to be if you tap the can, after that it would use it all, or if you screwed the connector off you'd lose it. So they have what they call self-sealing cans now. Well, if you have an old style connector in a self-sealing can, you'll need this adapter to even service with it or it won't work. Well, I bled a little bit of the system off and I stopped, put another gauge on there, and see another gauge is reading correctly. Can't hit that gauge right for some reason. Reading in the green. So then I looked at this gauge and I see that the lowest reading that it'll give is 25 instead of 0. So that thing is 70 degrees off on the gauge as far as travel is concerned. So it reading high is actually probably on the low line. But it says it should have at 82 degrees between 32 and 52 PSI, and right now I'm at 45 PSI. Andrew's side trim was up too far forward, so I helped him out. I repositioned it, pushed it on, sounded like it snapped. The snaps were a little weak. And guess what happened the next time he went to work? You got it. It is now missing. But anyway, I had a brand new clip and he had a spare part. I got these from IPD. So you snap these clips in there and you go ahead, you wipe that off. Do. Give it a little buff. And this should just snap in there. And if this is adjusted properly, they won't catch. Look like this has been catching. Maybe that's what's pushed it up. It got caught under there and pushed it up. Anyway, you see how they line up there? Push them in. Andrew, this thing pushed in. Give me something I can pull this fender back out with, because that'll catch and cause it to break loose. I don't know if you can see these numbers. Volvo side molding clip. So we pulled the fender out and the door opens and it misses. Good deal. A little bit of bend on that. You could take that trim off and bend it. I might have an extra one of those. I see it's got a tooth missing. The neighbors have a little domesticated rabbit, so they feed him peppers and he leaves them gifts as well. Since we did this timing belt water pump job the other day, we pulled the bolts out of there, put 10 millimeters in there. Andrew's been losing coolant. It dumped that amount on there today. And there's been a lot of overspray on this hose, up on that, around in here. I think the fan kicks on and sprays it around because it's running the AC. So I think this thermostat gasket's leaking. This thermostat is not smooth, this housing. So I'm trying to scrape this off and hit it with a wire brush and put a new gasket on that. And hopefully that'll stop that coolant from leaking around down in here. And hopefully the water pump's not leaking. We'll see once we get this stopped. Scraped all the buildup off of that, and you can see some of that spray out on the hose there. So hopefully this is it, not the water pump. I'll put this back together with a new gasket and go from there. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.